But just quickly, and as the very last slide, things to think about before you put CC licenses on your material. So when we, for instance, we ran a competition recently, me and Michael together, and with a group of other people, we helped run it, which had high school students from Ipswich making videos about their area and putting it up onto a particular website, an Ipswich-based website. And all of them, and we told them all about CC, and they, put their material into it. They put together videos that were, using CC to different levels and infringing material to different levels. But they all put them out under CC licenses because, sort of the moment you hear about it, especially if you're a kid, it sounds cool and you start, wanting to use it. But you do have to think about it first to make sure that, and get your kids to really think about it. One of the big things is you can't take it back, because of the practicalities of CC, because it's, it said the minimum thing is you can pass it on. So I give it to A, who gives it to B, to C, to D. And by the time you get to Z, you'll never get it back. And if everybody's followed the license, it'll still have that license on it. So basically, once it's out there, you've let the genie out of the bottle. You can't get it back in. So you do have to think, you can't say, I'm going to put it out, you can't complain if you put out a song under CC, it becomes a big hit. And it becomes a big hit in 3 years' time. You have to be aware that that's a thing. But of course, for most material, that's not an issue. Most of the bands who are putting their stuff under CC, the little unknown ones, they're like, well, we need people to hear our stuff for us before it can become a big hit. They know what they're doing, and they've made that conscious decision that it's definitely worth their while. But you do have to think about that, and it is global. You are sharing with everybody, not just the other people in the classroom. The moment you put a CC license on it, you're saying anybody else in the entire world can use this stuff under the terms that I've got in the license. So be careful of that. Some people like to share with other schools, but they don't really want to share more generally. Mm-hmm.
I was just going to comment, I think it's a great shift in consciousness overall, that people are looking more at sharing and being able to manipulate material and not, letting up, just sharing community instead of the competition and everything's me, what I do. And
it's a big push in the educational community in Australia to try to get that shift solidified. It's happening. Like, everybody thinks it's cool and stuff, but there still has been a bit of kind of, do we really want, the private school around the corner being able to use our stuff? But pretty much people are moving more and more towards, well, yeah, as long as we can use their stuff too. That's why a lot of people use share alike in the educational community. They're like, sure, certainly you can use our, things, the fact sheets, and improve on it, but as long as you, let me use the fact sheet that you've improved on, type thing. There was another question over there somewhere? No? Cool. Are you choosing the right license? There are different licenses. Make sure that it's the right one. Commercial use and changing. Change is a big one that people get caught out by. They think they're okay with people changing, and then they get offended. So think about it. Do you have the rights to license the material? And this one goes straight down to the policy one as well. You know how I said it was really great that students own their own copyright? You guys don't. Most of the time, you're going to not own the copyright in the teaching materials that you write and produce, because you're going to be doing it as an employee. So anything you create in your own time, that's fine, but anything that's been created for the classroom or in the course of your employment and that kind of thing, or using school facilities or that kind of thing, then pretty much the school owns the copyright in it by default, unless you've got a license with them or something, an agreement with them. So policy is important. Before you start putting your own stuff out, make sure that your school's not going to get angry at you. So check that stuff. And check if you've got third-party stuff in it. Have you accidentally put a slide with, the piracy ad at the front of your slides that you're about to put up online under a CC license? Those kind of things. Think about it. Cool. And I think that's it. Questions? More?
Oh, so that's illegal?
Well, this is what I was saying, where there's a kind of a bit of grey area. It's legal for me to use that because this is research and study. Certainly presenting to you guys, this is completely covered. Me putting it up onto a website with that still on it is a bit more question mark, so I actually tend to take that slide out. That slide won't be in your Blackboard. That's because I know too much. But you guys are probably, risk management decisions are the way you have to approach it. Like, it is very, very unlikely that anybody will ever complain about you putting that slide out under a CC license. I just do it because I know that, sort of some people don't like CC, and if they wanted to attack us, what they would attack us on is the grounds of copyright. So it's good for us to be best practice, that kind of thing.
If you find a photograph with it that someone's taken of a commercial product, say for example a Barbie doll or
Yep.
a new American doll, or, you know, soup or whatever.
You're actually, it is complicated. There's all onion layers involved here too. Normally, you're going to be okay just to take a photo of a commercial product and stuff like that. Like a Barbie, certainly, because while Barbie's trade, without the logo, you're completely fine. Because Barbie's trademarked and all that kind of thing, but only if you're using it to make other dolls. Like, trademarks are much narrower than copyright, so you can reproduce Barbie as long as you're not using it to make a competing product and that kind of thing. But once you have logos, so things like the Campbell soup tin artwork, Andy Warhol, that's a real possibility that even if, you know, that's infringing the copyright in the labels. Like, you know, they're an artistic and literary work, those labels on the tins. So it does get complicated, but most of the time you're safe. That's a risk management decision again. You normally won't have a problem. If you're putting it on, you know, a national broadcaster or, you know, big or something like that, then maybe you might want to think about not using, you know, identifiable stuff. Which is why sometimes you'll see the little pixelated things over logos and stuff like that. Sometimes it's because they don't want to promote it, but sometimes it's because they don't have the permission to show that. So, there you go. It is hard. Copyright's really hard. Most of the time, though, you don't have to worry too much. Like, nitty-gritty things like that, you know, are, you know, potentially illegal, but most of the time they'll be safe. Other questions? No. They just all escape the stuffiness.